Hi, everybody, and welcome to another Saturday morning where I interview the bloggers that are part of my personal blog roll. John Cunin is the author of John in Albany, which is a food centric blog, but especially with food, it's a pizza centric blog. He writes about the various pizzas, the best ones, the not so best ones, and I'm very happy that he's decided to share some breakfast pizza with us on this Saturday morning. John, how are you doing today?
I am well. How are you?
I'm doing great. So tell me how the blog initially started, John in Albany.
So this started, I want to say it was probably the late 90s, early 2000s. I had never heard of a blog until Michael Ruhlman started a blog, and I was following him. He's a chef whose books, he's not a chef, he's a food writer whose books I enjoyed. And there was also, I'm blanking on his name, a chef at the Culinary Institute. So there were two chefs there that had a blog, and I learned a lot from them. I mean, it was just two chefs talking, and so then from there, I was like, "Hey, let me do this." It was a free thing on Blogger, and most of it then was nonsense. I think since then, I mean, it's been a long time. I think I just broke 500 posts, um, but it's gone from a little bit of everything. There was I don't know. I went through phases. So my first phase was barbecue, and then it went into meat curing, and then pizza. And the pizza's kind of stuck the longest.
Totally understand. And of course, Albany is known for many different local pizzas. The Capital District has some great outlets, both national chains and mom and pop stores that still throw it up in the air and catch it on the fist.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Actually, I mean, we were both big fans of Oliver Albany, and that was one thing I really, really enjoyed. I got to be a judge in one of their tournaments of pizza, which if anyone ever asked you to be a judge in a pizza tournament, you should respond yes, and you should say it quickly.
For those people who are not familiar, All Over Albany was a fantastic blog and news portal. And every Wednesday, they had a feature called What's Up in the Neighborhood. When they shut down in 2017, I assumed the What's Up in the Neighborhood with many of the people. And John in Albany was one of the regular contributors to All Over Albany.
Yeah, it was a great time. And what's actually there's kind of a little funny story there was I almost didn't say yes because I was being stupid. And they at one point in time they had a mystery entry. So they were judges were being given pizza from an unknown place. So they had no idea where they were getting it from. And in my mind, I wanted to be one of those mystery things. I wanted to enter the tournament of pizza. So I was kind of it was a very dumb instinct, but I was like, if I'm a judge, can I ever be a contestant? And Mary said, yeah, yeah, sure, don't worry about it. So, but I never got to compete. The tournament ended.
Well, you could always have your own tournament. I'm sure that you could probably find at least 16 different pizzerias around the area that would be
Yeah,
happy to contribute their slices.
yeah, that could be a fun time. The judges that was fun too. Although we've lost one of them to Michigan, so
Daniel
uh,
Carmen.
be tough to get the whole band back together. But it was fun. It was fun.
Now, there's always been, and you're a pizza expert, so there's always been this anecdote that there's something in the New York City water system, whether it's more calcium or more iron or what, that supposedly makes their pizzas more vibrant than pizzas that are sold outside of New York City. Can you confirm or deny that?
I personally I think that's a myth. Um, the longer I work with pizza, I think the really most important ingredient in a pizza dough is the experience of the person that's making the pizza dough. So you can get 10 people to mix, flour, water, salt, and yeast, and someone's going to do it better than the other people. And that's probably because of experience with the dough and handling the dough, and definitely equipment helps. So I mean, you can make a very good pizza in your home oven. But I don't know if you're going to be as happy with it as you would be if you were, using a big deck oven or Pizza Master makes an oven that seems to be the kind of darling pizza oven now.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, pizza is one of the few American themed foods where the way it's manufactured can also represent the area of the United States where it came from.
Absolutely.
The Chicago deep dish for one, New York slices, of course. Where have you had some of the more unique pizzas or pizza flavorings in the United States?
I think what varies more, because like even like in the dough, for the most part, the ingredients are the same. And when you get into the Chicago deep dish, there's probably a different kind of fat. Some of them have butter and stuff like that in the crust that you're not going to get in the New York slice. But a lot of pepperoni is the number one topping in the country. It doesn't matter what you're putting it on. And even in Chicago, more Chicago pizza is actually a Chicago thin crust, crispy style pizza than the deep dish. So, deep dish is what comes to mind, but more often than not, more places will sell a thin, more of a cracker kind of crust. But like coming up now, there's a bar style pizzas, or these very thin, small 12-inch pizzas are becoming very popular. Detroit style pizza, which is, I don't want to call it a Sicilian because it's a little crispier. And it's kind of cooked in a specialized pan. Those are getting popular across the country. They're showing up more and more. I think there's one or two places in Saratoga that make one.
There's a type of pizza I had been wanting to try just because I'd heard so much about it. Apparently in New Haven, Connecticut, there is a style called white clam pizza.
Yeah. I actually grew up in Connecticut, and there was a while one of my brothers actually lived on Worcester Street in an apartment that was between Sally's and Pepe's. And so when I was in high school, I'd be able to say, come on, let's order a pizza. And on a Friday or Saturday night, you'd be looking at an hour and a half before your pizza would be ready if you were calling up. So we'd order the pizza. I'd wait 20 minutes or whatever. I'd drive out, it'd be a half-hour ride to there. We'd hang out, and then we'd go walk and get the pizza, walk it next door and eat it. But the white clam pizza started at Pepe's. But a lot of other places in New Haven also have a white clam pizza. I personally think it's better if you add a little bit of bacon. It's almost like a Clams Casino pizza. There's a place, I think it's in West Haven, called Zupardi's, which is supposed to have a great clam pizza, where it's pre-COVID was, that pizza's going to take 20 minutes. We got to go back and chuck the clams. So I haven't been there yet. I'd love to get there. But there was three big ones, or the main ones in New Haven: Modern, Sally's, and Pepe's. So there was one time a long time ago, there's a old blog post on it where I dragged my family to all three in a day. They're good sports on my pizza adventure.
There seems to be this perception, and some of it may be earned and some of it may just be a hatred of chain pizzas, the chain store pizzas, the Pizza Huts, Domino's, Little Caesars, Papa John's, that their pizzas are not as good, or in some cases are just straight up terrible when compared to a mom and pop store.
I think it depends on what you grew up eating. There's Sam Sifton, writes for the New York Times. It's called the pizza cognition theory. And it's basically whatever pizza, when you're old enough to say, wow, this is great pizza, that's in your mind. That's what pizza is. And if that came from Domino's, that's what pizza is. If it came from Papa John's, that's your favorite pizza. If it came from New Haven, Pepe's might be your favorite pizza. And it's not 100% true, but it kind of holds true a lot of the time. I think it was on Netflix, one of the David Chang I mean, he's a famous chef. Goes on and on about Domino's Pizza. He loves Domino's. I mean, he brought Domino's Pizza into a very well-known New York pizzeria, which is something I would have never, let me walk out of this famous pizzeria and pick up my Domino's from the car here and bring it back in. And they're having tasting of Domino's Pizza inside Lucali, which is, if you're there on a Friday night, you're hoping to get in. You put your name in at 5 and come back in a couple hours. So I really think it depends on what you grew up eating.
One of the other things that apparently has been a rising trend lately is breakfast pizza. Obviously, most places around where I live, your local breakfast pizza is served at the gas station. And it's usually some sort of eggs with bacon on top, and maybe
A lot of places make it where it's essentially an omelet on top of pizza dough.
have you seen some places that really put some effort into a breakfast pizza?
Not locally. I mean, I know Stewart's sells one. There was, I don't think it's there anymore. There was a place in Schenectady that had one. I'm a member of the Schenectady Curling Club, and sometimes if you were there on a Saturday morning, whatever, people throw in and get a pizza. I don't think that pizza place is there anymore, though. That was the only place that I would regularly say, oh yeah, we called up and ordered a breakfast pizza. Most pizza places aren't open until after 11, so it's not as big an item on their menu.
That's true. All right, so I'm talking to a pizza expert. Let's get the big question out. What is the greatest pizza topping, and why is it pineapple?
I've actually never put pineapple on a pizza. For me personally, I don't like warm fruits. So like if it's in a pie, that's okay. But like just a piece of, even if it were like just grilled pineapple, I'm not a huge fan. I don't know what, there are a lot of topping combinations, and they keep getting fancier and fancier. And a lot more places are willing to put more effort into the pizza. Donna's in Troy, it's in, well, I guess it's part of Little Peck's. They have some really interesting toppings. They had one where it had roasted garlic and roasted eggplant and capers, and why would you put capers on a pizza? It's really good. It's really, really good. I've tried to copy I've made that pizza, and then I've also made one that's kind of like a puttanesca sauce with Kalamata olives and capers on it. And I really like, I mean, they're like these little flavorful salt bombs that are just, sprinkled on a pizza. I would have never, 2 years ago, if you said, yeah, you're gonna put capers on a pizza, and it's like, maybe, bagels, lox, cream cheese, and a couple capers on top, but never on a pizza. But I've been doing it the past couple times I've made pizza. So I've come around kind of to pineapple, so I don't know as if I'd be opposed necessarily to pineapple. There's a guy on Instagram where it's like the whole thing is pizza activism against pineapples on pizza. And I saw something that was actually an Anthony Bourdain thing where he was in Rome. And if you were taking like pineapple that you just cut up off a pineapple and you roasted it and you did, something, I could see where that could be good on pizza. I don't know as if I'd ever really be a fan of, some deli ham and I opened a can of Dole chunks and I sprinkled that on. I'm not sure that would be my thing. If you enjoy it, order it, get it all the time. There are lots of places making it.
So somebody was to say, after watching this video, they're thinking, you know what, I'm going to go make my own pizza. I've got a kitchen oven. I'll just go out and get the dough, toss it up in the air on my fist like I see them doing it on the old time TV shows, and I should be able to make a pizza. What are the biggest mistakes in thinking you can do it yourself like that?
I think it's experience. I would say one of the number one things people do is they go and they read like these, this Italian pizza recipe, and they run out and they buy a bag of the double O flour, the Italian double O flour, And most of those flours, not all of them, but most are unmalted, so they don't have any barley or anything in them. So in your home oven, there's no sugars, there's no malt in that dough. So you're gonna get a very pale. So at 550 degrees, you're gonna get a pale pizza. That's meant to be cooked in a wood oven at 800 plus degrees. So it's not gonna. There was a famous, well, not famous, well-known New York Times recipe that mixed all-purpose, and we were like half and half. But at least there, unless you're going to add some sugar to that dough with double O flour, my guess is you're going to come out pale.
I'm almost afraid to ask if you use self-rising flour, what would happen?
If you use self-rising flour, I pay attention. There's a forum called pizzamaking.com. And a few years ago, there was a long thread. So it was a 2-ingredient dough, and it was self-rising flour with Greek yogurt. And that was the whole dough. And there were some people made some very good looking pizzas with just those 2 ingredients as the crust. And that kind of goes back to if you have experience stretching dough and you have experience mixing it, and this is kind of what it feels like, or this is too wet, maybe I should add a pinch more flour to this, because I mean, even just all, I don't know how many plain Greek yogurts have you had. They're all a little bit different consistency, they're all different water content, and so some of that is going to be your experience eyeballing, this dough looks good, this dough isn't good, it needs more flour, but bottom line is it's not that difficult, and that if you had a scale, I think a kitchen scale is important. You don't have to be, measuring, to the gnat's ass micrometer kind of thing. But if you're doing everything in grams, it's very easy to replicate something. If you're just taking a measuring cup, someone did a study where it's like you could have 4 different people take a cup of flour, and you're going to have a range of like 3 ounces in that. And if you're dealing with, this is how much water I'm putting in, that's going to affect your dough, especially on a small batch. It wouldn't, if you're off an ounce, and I just dumped 50 pounds of flour into this big, huge commercial mixer, that's not as big a deal as, I put 1 pound of flour in this mixer and I'm off 3 ounces. That's you're 25% off almost. So a scale definitely helps. I would say if your oven can go to 550, that's better than an oven that tops out. My new home oven, when we moved, my home oven now tops out at 500. And I'm lucky in that I have other toys to make pizza in that can go hotter than that. But pizza steels were popular. You can get those, or you can make one yourself. But those, if your kitchen oven goes above 525, your steel would work. Otherwise, I'd say just get a regular pizza stone. If you're going to make a lot of them, thicker would actually help. A 1-inch thick stone is going to hold its heat longer for 3 or 4 pizzas than if you're going to make one. Same with the steel. A thicker steel would hold its heat longer.
Or if you want to wait for one.
Some more time in between pizzas would do it too.
Mm-hmm.
With something thinner.
I was going to say, if you wait for a pizzeria to go bankrupt, you could take those big Baker's Pride.
Yeah.
Get like 4 big burly men to haul them into your house.
And I'd be lying to you if I told you there's one wall in my garage that I once measured and said, you know what? I think one of these might actually fit in here. And if I ran a pipe here, I might actually be able to get gas coming out of the oven, out of the basement through this wall. So maybe someday. And our garage is divided in half. My wife actually likes to put the car in the garage. And so
do that?
Yeah. So her car in the summer, she's nice enough, and we fill it with stuff during the summer. But in the winter, she doesn't want to scrape her car in the morning. So that side of the garage has to get clear off. My side of the garage is a permanent disaster.
What are some of the things when you're blogging that you want to be able to communicate with the readers about the variations in pizza?
When I'm sorry, the phone is ringing. When I'm trying to communicate variations in pizza?
Right, variations, you're being able to describe it without them being able to taste it.
I think a lot of it is the texture, and then like if it's just regular cheese pizza, I mean, your main flavorings are coming from the sauce and the cheese. And so you're getting the texture from the crust, and you're getting kind of a salty, fat tomato flavor from the cheese. Depending on where you go, especially in upstate New York, the further west you go in New York towards Buffalo, the sauces, it's almost, once you pass Utica, the sauces get really sweet. Even if you're like in a restaurant in Buffalo and you're just getting, here's my chicken parm and I got a side of pasta with tomato sauce, that sauce is probably going to have a significant amount of sugar in it. That's just the way they are out in Western New York. It shows up on their pizzas too in a lot of places. Buffalo has their own style. There's a Buffalo style pizza.
Does it involve or not?
Does it involve? I'm sorry.
Chicken wings.
Not usually. Their pizza, it's very thick and it's very heavy, and it's a calorie bomb when you eat it. And they're among the first. I don't know if you've seen the cupping pepperoni. So when it browns, it kind of cups up. They load that. So I mean, that's a standard, just cupping pepperoni.
So
you can't see the pizza through the pepperoni.
Like a shot glass.
Yeah, it cups, and then you get a little puddle of grease in it. So no kidding. There was this one place. There was a guy. He had a small tournament of Buffalo pizza places, and so I figured, I'm going out here. I'm going to go try whoever won this tournament. I mean, what do I know about Buffalo style pizza, really? And so a friend and I went, and we got the small pizza, and I'm carrying a small pizza. It felt like I was carrying a 5-pound sack of flour. I mean, the thing is just dense, and they're hardy out there in Buffalo.
They truly are. So a couple more questions. Where do you feel that blogging involving food, involving pizza, involving when you started with barbecue, where do you feel it will be going in the future?
I don't know. I don't think as many people write anymore. I think a lot of that has moved to Instagram, where you can just have, here's a picture of something I ate, and I typed a paragraph into my phone and post, done. I think a lot is going that way. And I think on the other side, I think it's going to YouTube. I think so between Instagram and YouTube. I don't know. They're faster. I mean, I don't know. I guess people on YouTube take a lot of time to edit their videos, so depending on that. But something like Instagram, you got to you could be posted before you're got the check kind of thing. It's just boom, boom, boom on your phone, and it's up.
There you go, and the response.
Yeah.
And finally, so I'd like to place an order. I need a 12 cut with pepperonis, ham, sausage, bacon, a little extra meat of some sort. I need it in about 30 minutes or less. How soon can I get it?
From me, you would need, if something like that, I'd need at least 4 hours, 5 hours.
I'm going to demand $3 off.
I have some Detroit pans, and especially with the working from home, it is dangerous because you can get the pizza whim at noon. I could put together the dough like during my lunch break, and then by dinner time, the dough is sat there, it's proofed, fire up the oven, top them, and you got pizza for dinner. Which, when I'm using my wood oven, more often than not, I try to make the dough at least 48 hours in advance to give it time to all come together.
Okay. Well, John, I really appreciate this. And one of these days, we'll have to go out to New Haven. You're going to show me what a good white clam pizza tastes like.
Sure.
And,
sure. I make one too sometimes.
And for those who want to read John's blog, the header is up on this page. It's John in Albany, and it does have a really great amount of information on the local pizza scene and where the best pizzas are and what to look for when ordering your pizza pie. John, thank you so much for being part of our Saturday show.
Thanks for the invitation.